That gut feeling telling you you're right is engineered to betray you in a crowd. This is a survival switch buried deep in your brain's oldest hardware. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this switch flips, turning your certainty into doubt the moment you're outnumbered. And you'll see how this silent programming controls everything from the products you buy to the beliefs you think are your own. Picture a simple experiment from the 1950s. You're in a room with 7 other people, supposedly fellow volunteers. The task is basic. You're shown a card with a single line on it, then a second card with 3 lines of varying lengths labeled A, B, and C. Your job is to say out loud which of the 3 lines matches the first. The first round is easy. It's obviously C. The person on your left says C. The next person says C. It continues around the room. Everyone says C. Your turn comes, you say C. Easy. Second round, another set of cards. The answer is clearly B. Again, everyone says B, you feel a little bored. This is a simple perception test. Then comes the third trial. You see the cards. The answer is A, unmistakably A. You could bet your life on it. The first person to answer, one of the other volunteers, looks at the cards and says with complete confidence, B. You blink. You look again at the cards. Line A is a perfect match. Line B is almost an inch shorter. Maybe he misspoke. Maybe he has an eye problem. Then the second person says B. Then the third. A cold knot forms in your stomach. The fourth, fifth, and sixth participants all say B. They're calm. They're certain. Now it's your turn. The researcher is looking at you, clipboard in hand. 7 people have given an answer that your eyes tell you is impossible. What do you say? This was the setup for Solomon Asch's famous conformity experiments. The other 7 people in the room were actors. Their only job was to give the same, obviously wrong answer. The study was measuring whether the real participant, you, would stick to what you could plainly see or cave to the pressure of the group. 75% of people caved at least once. They gave an answer they knew was wrong just to go along with the unanimous majority. A third of the participants conformed on more than half of the trials. They saw the truth and they lied about it. But these subjects were just saying what they thought the group wanted to hear, right? The brain scans revealed something far stranger. Years later, psychiatrist Gregory Burns recreated the Asch experiment inside an fMRI machine. He wanted to see what was happening inside the brain during that moment of conflict. What he found changes everything. When a person resisted the group and gave the correct answer, their brain lit up in areas associated with fear and emotional salience. The amygdala, the same region that fires when you see a snake. Their brain registered social disagreement as a direct threat. But here's the critical part. When a person conformed to the group's wrong answer, their brain showed activity in the occipital lobe, the visual processing center, the part of the brain that actually sees. The pressure from the group was so intense it was literally changing what they perceived. They were starting to see the wrong answer. Their brain resolved the conflict between what my eyes see and what the group sees by editing reality at the source. It chose social cohesion over objective truth. This is the dark engine of social proof. Your brain is wired to feel pain when you disagree with your tribe, physical pain, and it will happily alter your perception of reality to make that pain go away. It's a mechanism that saved us on the savannah, where being exiled from the group meant certain death. But it's a mechanism that can be turned against you. This explains why we follow. It doesn't explain how the system gets hijacked so effectively in the modern world, turning your own brain into a tool for advertisers and ideologues. The simplest form of weaponized social proof is in marketing. Every time you see a label like bestseller or most popular, that's a direct command to the oldest part of your brain. It says, the tribe has chosen this. It is safe. Do not waste energy thinking. Just copy. Online reviews work the same way. A product with 4,000 reviews feels safer than one with 4, even if the average rating is identical. The sheer volume of social signal overrides quality. Restaurants will ask staff to stand in line outside during slow hours to create the illusion of popularity. Nightclubs will keep a line outside even when the club is half empty. Your brain's logic is simple. If other people are waiting for it, it must be worth waiting for. This gets far more sophisticated. Have you ever wondered why old sitcoms have canned laugh tracks? Studies show that people rate jokes as funnier when they hear pre-recorded laughter. The sound of the crowd tells your brain, this is funny, and your emotional response dutifully follows. You outsource your sense of humor to a sound engineer from the 1970s. The digital world is a social proof engine on an unimaginable scale. Governments and corporations employ bot farms to create artificial trends on social media. A handful of operators can generate thousands of posts, likes, and shares, creating the illusion of a massive, organic movement. Your brain sees the numbers and its conformity circuits fire. It can't distinguish between a real consensus and a manufactured one. It just sees the crowd. This is how echo chambers form. Inside a social group, whether it's a political party or an online forum, certain ideas get rewarded with likes, shares, and social approval. Dissenting ideas are punished with silence, downvotes, or outright removal. Over time, the group's perception of reality begins to drift. The members aren't lying. Their brains, just like the subjects in the fMRI scanner, are beginning to perceive the world through the lens of the group. They see evidence that supports the group's beliefs as more valid and dismiss contradictory evidence as irrelevant or malicious. The social proof loop becomes a closed system. The crowd is always right, because the crowd defines what right is. But the mechanism can be pushed even further, from convincing you to buy a coffee maker to convincing you to ignore a person in mortal danger right in front of you. Imagine you're sitting in a waiting room, filling out a form. Suddenly, smoke begins to pour into the room from under a door. What do? Psychologists John Latounet and Bib Darley ran this experiment. When a participant was alone in the room, 75% of them reported the smoke within 2 minutes. They saw a problem and they acted. But when the participant was in the room with 2 other people, actors who were instructed to notice the smoke and then completely ignore it, the results were terrifying. Only 10% of the real subjects reported the smoke. 10%. The rest sat there, filling out their forms as the room filled with smoke. They would cough, rub their eyes, and glance nervously at the 2 passive actors. But because the others were acting calm, the social proof signal was deafening. This must not be an emergency. This is called pluralistic ignorance, a situation where a majority of group members privately reject a norm but incorrectly assume that most others accept it and therefore go along with it. Everyone is thinking this is bad, but nobody is saying it, so everyone concludes that nobody else thinks it's bad. This happens because of 2 psychological tripwires firing at once. The first is social proof. We use the inaction of others to define an ambiguous situation. No one else is panicking, so I shouldn't panic. The second is diffusion of responsibility. The more people who are present, the less individual responsibility any one person feels to act. Someone else will surely call for help. The brutal paradox is that the more people who witness an emergency, the less likely it is that anyone will intervene. The safety of the herd makes every individual member less safe. So how do you break the spell? It turns out the solution was hidden inside Asch's original experiment all along. Asch was so intrigued by the power of conformity that he ran dozens of variations of his line experiment. In one, he made a tiny change. He had just one of the 7 actors break from the majority and give the correct answer. Only one. With a single dissenting ally in the room, the real participants' conformity rate dropped by over 80%. The spell was broken. You don't need a majority on your side. You don't need to be the brave lone hero. You just need one other person to validate your perception of reality. That single voice creates a new group, a group of 2. It gives you the social permission to trust your own eyes. The antidote to bad social proof is a different kind of social proof. This reveals a powerful set of strategies for reclaiming your own mind. First, understand the power of the pause. The pressure to conform is an immediate emotional reaction. Forcing a delay, even for 5 seconds, can be enough for your rational mind to catch up. Simple phrases like, "Let me think about that for a second," or "I want to consider that from a different angle," create a buffer. This buffer allows you to move from a reactive, tribal state to a deliberate, analytical one. Second, pre-commit to your values. Before you walk into a meeting, a family gathering, or any group setting, take 30 seconds to remind yourself what you stand for and what your independent judgment is on the matter at hand. This acts as a psychological anchor. When the winds of group opinion start to blow, you have something to hold on to. But the most powerful strategy is to be the dissenter for someone else. When you are in a group and you sense that silent tension, that pluralistic ignorance where everyone is thinking the same thing but nobody is saying it, be the one. Be the one to say, "Am I the only one who thinks this is a problem?" Or, "I'm not sure I agree with the consensus here." The moment you speak, you create an anchor for every other person in the room who is feeling that same doubt. You give them permission, you become their single dissenting ally. This isn't about being confrontational, it's about serving the truth. The crowd offers comfort, a sense of belonging, and a shortcut to decision-making. But truth is rarely found in comfort. The pull of the group is a gravitational force warping your perception of the world around you. Resisting it feels like fighting gravity itself. It's lonely, it's costly, it feels dangerous, and your brain will scream at you that it is. The real question isn't whether you can resist the crowd, it's whether you can tolerate the silence that comes after